Hello, friends. Welcome back to Beyond the Deal, where we get real about business, entrepreneurship, and commercial real estate. I'm Lacey Labs, here with my co-host, Laura Martin. Today, we're joined by Devin Heisler, Research and Marketing Specialist and Licensed Real Estate Agent with SVN Latus. Devin has been in the industry for going on 3 years and has become an invaluable resource for our team. His knowledge of the market and capabilities in analyzing properties provides support and education and is beneficial to the subject matter expertise of our entire brokerage. In this episode, you'll hear about his role, what it entails, how his research and marketing analysis provide invaluable information to our team, and what advice he would give to new commercial agents looking to get started in the industry. Devin Heisler, welcome to Beyond the Deal. Great to have you with us this morning.
Yeah, thank you very much for having me on this morning.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's kick it off by just hearing about your background, your life story, and how you got into commercial real estate.
Yeah, I would say getting into commercial real estate, it was definitely out of the blue. Born and raised in Mechanicsburg, so I'm very familiar with the South Central PA area. Went to Cumberland Valley High School, took a little bit of an unorthodox route and went to a military college down in South Carolina. I attended the Citadel, got my business degree from there. Knew I wanted to serve, but didn't necessarily know in what type of capacity. So I chose to join the Army National Guard, Pennsylvania, of course. I've been in the National Guard now for about 4.5 years for the state of PA. I'm a human resource specialist with them. And then after all my initial entry training and all that, I came home. I did a lot of interning throughout my throughout my summers home with a logistics company. They pretty much bought and sold silver, gold, commodities, as well as other collectible items. And then, they'd resell them to the public. And then kind of was just looking for a career change. I was just on LinkedIn, ironically, and saw an SVN Latus kind of research and marketing specialist position. Applied, and the rest is kind of history.
Yeah, love it. So you've been with SVN Latus for how long now?
2.5, a little over 2.5 years now.
Almost
I
three,
came to the company in January of 2023, so right at the turn of the new year, 2023. So been with them ever since, yeah.
So you kind of just found this job, right? You weren't trying to pursue real estate specifically, or?
Yeah, I think I just wanted a change of pace. I don't think at the time I was like, oh, commercial real estate. This is what I'm going to do till I'm gray and old. It just kind of naturally fell into place. Yeah. I wanted to try to be, a good administrative worker for a company to try to get my foot into the door. And I think it just kind of naturally occurred that commercial real estate was the endeavor. I think that financing and banking have always really been a true interest of mine. And I think we all know that, real estate plays a crucial role in lending and banking and just the American economy. So I thought it was just a great place to start.
Yeah, very interesting. So your role is research and marketing specialist.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about that. What do you do? What is that job?
Yeah, well, I think marketing specialist is more your page, but I would say, research side of things. Honestly, it's a little bit of everything. I would say from diving into prospective properties that our brokerage wants to try to go after, diving into the zoning, diving into the tax records, seeing purchase prices and rates that our markets are producing at the time, twisting that into diving into the analytics with the various platforms that we use in the office to try to put more of an analytical approach to real estate. I know that the most common practice is comps, right? But I think that our office really has a nice fine balance of course, using the comparable market analysis approach, as well as the more of an analytical approach to see what the current trends are in our specific market, to try to pinpoint a good price for our client. Drafting some contracts here and there, of course, helping out with making sure that all the marketing information is being put out properly for the consumer to see. I'd say it's a little bit of everything.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and along the way, it's not in your title, but you've picked up a few other things. One notably is property management.
Yes. Yeah. Property management is, I think a lot of people hear horror stories of property management because a lot of that's assumed in like the multifamily world where I know Laura said it. Their problems begin when your workday ends because everyone's coming home from work and my dishwasher's broken, this toilet is clogged, the shower won't turn on or whatever, this pipe's leaking or it burst. Yeah. So we don't do any multifamily assets, but of course not opposed to dabbling in it. So we mainly deal with our office tenants is really what SVN Latus we do best. And no, I really enjoy it. I enjoy interacting with our tenants. And making sure that their needs are met, right? I'm not saying I'm the best property manager, but I am always doing my best to make sure that these people are getting what they're putting their money into, and as well as taking care of our client, right? These are people that are entrusting us with their asset, which is a huge responsibility. So, establishing a line of trust, knowing that, hey, we've got your back in the event of an emergency, and we're also taking care of the tenants to make sure that everyone's reputation remains positive and that we can continue to grow and build relationships. You never know who your next client's going to be. So I always try to keep that in the back of my mind whenever I'm dealing with issues, no matter how big or small.
Yeah, I've seen you do a great job with the relationship side in particular of that.
Yeah, I truly think that it's huge, and I always, even though sometimes a problem might pop up, and I'm like, are you kidding me? This isn't that big of a deal. I always like to just kind of take a deep breath, put myself in the shoes of that individual that might be saying, hey, this is broken, this is leaking, or we saw a dandelion in this garden bed. Come over here and pull it or whatever. I always want to make sure that I'm putting myself in their shoes and realizing, okay, like there's no such thing as a task too big or too small, right? We strive ourselves on producing the best product we can for our client and our tenant. So just trying to maintain that reputation.
Yeah. And you're very responsive, and that's huge.
Yeah, absolutely. I think communication, right? I might not be able to solve your issue today or tomorrow or even the next day, but yeah, I always try to make sure that I put a timeline in place or simply just, or if I'm not the right person for the job, I'm going to make sure that we're putting you in front of the right expert to handle whatever issue you're having. Yeah.
Yeah, and we uniquely deal with maybe the Class A level, which does require a little bit more.
Yeah,
than
definitely.
Just making sure snow is removed from a parking lot.
Absolutely.
Right? So.
Yeah, I mean, we definitely deal with some national tenants at some of our buildings, a lot of medical providers. So then you're starting to apply a lot of medical regulations that need to be in place. I know we just had a hot water heater break at one of the properties we manage. And to most people, it would be like, okay, call in the pro, swap it out, and be on your merry way. But in this case, we had a lot of medical factors that we had to keep in place to know, okay, hey, these certain patient rooms are going to be out of hot water for X amount of time. Most medical facilities can't be without water at all. Yeah. So you have to be very mindful as to when you're turning water off, turning it back on, and making sure that all protective measurements are in place to prevent contamination. Heaven forbid, bad water get places it doesn't need to go. Make sure that cleanup is done thoroughly. So it's a lot of moving parts to some small jobs. You don't really realize it until you dive into this property management world.
Yeah, doing it well is important. Yeah.
And the other thing you've accomplished recently was getting your real estate license.
Yeah. In the military, we always say subject matter expert. You should always be striving to be a subject matter expert. And I personally think that to be like the very best administrative employee you can be for a real estate brokerage, I knew that, okay, like I should get my license. Even if I don't actively use it, it's a 75-hour course, I believe. And, you learn a lot in that 75 hours. And then not only are you getting the education from the class, when you finally get that license, you also kind of earn a little bit of establish a different level of trust with the agents and brokers and advisors that you serve. Because it's like, okay, I also have my license, and we can polish off all the legality talk. Right now, I can essentially speak more freely with our clients and also know that, hey, I understand how these deals need to transpire and how certain transactions need to essentially what needs to be done to get across the finish line.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that it just it allowed me to open up a different perspective, and it opened up a lot of other windows of opportunity for me to be an asset to our brokers, our agents, our advisors, other agents from other brokerages, right? I can be that administrative employee that if someone calls in the office and all of our agents are out, I can sit there and talk shop with another agency, open mic, essentially, knowing that, hey, if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me in the absence while Laura or Tamika or Nikki or Karen are out of the office, right? I can try to get as many questions as you can answered before you actually get the opportunity to talk to that agent.
And that's a licensing thing. If you weren't licensed, you can't.
I would have to say, sorry, I'm going to have to send you through to the voicemail, and hopefully they'll get back to you.
People do not like that.
But yeah, I know time
They
kills
don't get
deals. I know that's always a common phrase you hear in the industry. So
I might have said that recently.
just trying to be that open voice of communication. Yeah. But I would say, for me, getting my license was more of I want to try to be, add another tool to the toolbox, or just try to be a more versatile employee for the company.
Have you seen that be beneficial or impactful on the research role?
I would say a little bit. Yeah. I think now that I have my license and am able to potentially work alongside of agents, I've had the opportunity to do a couple small deals just to get the experience on the sale and lease side of things. So I would say definitely, because when you are actually, you don't know what someone's life is like until you walk a mile in their shoes, so to speak. So having the opportunity to walk a mile in the agent, the broker, the advisor's shoes, and say, okay, so this is what it's like. This is what you need to do to get a deal across the finish line. I think it has helped me. It's broadened my horizons on how the research that I provide affects the deals that our agents are doing.
Yeah. I think you have one of the most important roles. And I think for new agents, it is a great way to start the business, because if you can price something effectively and know how to do it,
absolutely,
it's hands down.
And I jokingly say, I say it a lot, probably shouldn't, but I always jokingly say, in the grand scheme of things, my job really shouldn't exist, because a good senior agent, or a novice, or not a novice, but a good senior agent or broker or advisor should know how to do the back end research before they go out to win a listing, or before they go out with their client to make an offer on a property. I think that my job is the foundation of what makes a really good agent or a really good broker, property manager even, just being able to provide the back end research to a deal, to make sure that client knows, okay, this individual knows what they're talking about. They've done their homework. They've got their ducks in a row. Yeah. And I feel confident in the offer that I'm going to submit, or the price that we're going to list my asset for. So I know I jokingly say that my job shouldn't exist, but really a seasoned agent should be able to know how to do these things.
Yeah. But you free up agent time
Absolutely.
to be spent running the front end of a deal, and make them look extremely competent and capable on the back end.
I agree.
No, I think that if your brokerage has the capacity to have a research team, absolutely, right? Because then your agents, your advisors, your brokers can spend more time focusing in on getting those deals done. Deals bring in the money, and so on and so forth. The office thrives from that. So there's definitely a place, but I would say as a rookie off the block, just got my license typed individual, I would definitely say, do your homework first and learn the research side of things, because it's going to make you stand out amongst your peers.
I do think excellence is your middle name, because you do add a value that is so needed in our office. And I think one of my favorite things with you is when we sit down and we try to talk about what we think something's valued at. And perfect example, he was right. Last week we went to an auction, and you were right on the number. It ended up falling apart, but I was higher.
I gave myself a pretty wide net to fall into. I think I had $150,000 buffer. I said, it's gonna it's going to go between, I think, 5 and 650 or something, or 6 and 750 was my number, and I think they closed the auction at 660.
I thought it was going to be like 750 to $1 million.
Yeah,
he was right.
But and I think that's also what I genuinely enjoy about my job is, I will always provide you the data, the research, and the analytical approach to something. But I also like working with our seasoned agents because they have a lot of veteran knowledge that even though I might say, well, the numbers say this, their experience is beyond that. And they'll be, no, trust me, it will transact for this. And then it ends up, if I think, oh, the numbers are showing 500 and Laura's coming to me and said, no, I've seen this property on the block before. I know this one. I know the owners. I know how this is going to go. And I think it's going to go for 800 and it goes for 800. That just goes to show that, sure, an analytical approach gives you a nice foundation, but it's not the end all be all.
Yeah.
But it's I always like to be really prepared before I go out to meet someone. I like the zoning and the tax cards. I like everything. I probably overkill, even when I'm not expected to come in with a price, but I mean, the fact of what you provide is amazing. And sometimes I think it's hard to find. Times I've tried to do research when you've been off on guard drill duty or something, and I've tried to figure stuff out. I don't think it's near what it should be. So.
Not all the platforms are intuitive. And so when you're not in them every day, it can be challenging to remember which ones, how do you get this piece of data from this platform?
Yeah, and I think a lot of the platforms, just like I know CRMs are a super popular thing in commercial real estate, but they're all different. So I think that we have various platforms that we use in the office that I think, oh, this one is really good at finding these data points, and this one is really good for hunting for comps, and this one is really good for your more historical economic data. Yeah. So I think each one of our platforms has its own little niche attribute to our proposals that we provide in office. Yeah. So I usually try to use all of the tools and then be like, okay, combine them, right, to make the best product that we can, rather than just use one platform and just run all the numbers through or analyze the data through only one platform. I try to use all of them to try to put my best price or estimation as to what I think.
And sometimes they're
put
not
on something
too bad, but sometimes they're darn hard to figure out.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I think we've had plenty of complications where you can dive into research and numbers and comps and historical data, and it still doesn't compute. And then you're sitting there at the drawing board thinking, all right, what do we need to do here? What are we missing? Absolutely.
Yeah. And your research has also been really critical for us in producing our quarterly reports, which have been which are a great resource, a great tool for not just our agents in-house, but we provide it to the public, for investors and generally the public.
Yeah, I love the Metro Report because I think it's of course we're marketing SVN, but we're not necessarily saying, hey, come buy the listings that we have posted. This is just economic data that if you're a rookie investor in commercial real estate, a seasoned individual that has a portfolio of assets, or just someone that, it's public. You can go on our website and grab it. If another brokerage wants to say, well, what numbers are these folks seeing that we're not? I think that it's an asset just to the consumer, really, to be able to see these are the numbers that we're seeing. Here are the comps and the transactions that we're tracking. We even do a little bit of residential data in there, which I know doesn't necessarily play a huge factor in the commercial world, but it does affect commercial lending significantly, or just lending in general. So I think it's definitely a time-consuming task, but I think it's rewarding to finally see the final product and be able to go out there and when you're networking and be able to share the product and be like, hey, this is what our office is seeing. And then, it's a great conversation starter. Yeah. Maybe there's stuff, I'm not saying that there's not comps in there that might slip through the cracks that I might have missed. And maybe someone said, oh, this private deal took place of a huge industrial asset, or this auto shop, you missed this one. It sold for an extra $100 a square foot compared to most other auto body shops. Yeah. So it's a good networking piece to be able to go out there and talk to your brokerages and your other real estate experts, bankers, et cetera, and be like, hey, this is what else is going on that you might have missed. Yeah. But hey, this is great data.
What would you say are the key data points when you're having those conversations? What things in that report do you think the average consumer is saying, oh, that's really helpful, that's good?
I'd say definitely comps and seeing what things are going for at like maybe the price per square foot level. I know cap rate plays a huge rate, but we don't necessarily do a lot of cap rate data. We don't really dive into NOIs or what a asset's cash flowing. But I mean, the talk of the town, I think. I entered this industry and I thought, man, I'm not going to have a job in 4 months because interest rates were climbing and inventory was so scarce. And I entered real estate at such a wild time. So I think since I've been in commercial real estate for a short time, 2.5 years, the interest rate talk is the talk of the town, because it is the foundation of our consumers getting their lending. So I think the interest rate data that we follow, and I mean, sure, a lot of it might be residential data, but those trends tend to go hand in hand. I think another point that we do well is, going over, seeing how many transactions are in each asset class allows, like, if you followed our Metro report, you'll be able to see, there's an uptick in office since the pandemics, essentially pummeled the return to office is huge now. So I think just monitoring the asset classes and watching the transactions, you're able to see like trends per each asset, as well as you're able to like look and see where the outliers. I know the Costco and the Carlisle Pike was like a huge land sale, and it just totally like blew all of their land sales out of the water. And there's multiple times where you're going through that list and you're seeing these crazy prices, and you're like, well, what's going on here? And I think that gives our consumer the ability to go online, do a little bit of research their own, like, why did that asset sell for so much more than the others in that asset class? So I think it provides a lot of data for you to see what's going on in your community. Yeah,
absolutely.
You guys have killed that. I know that's so much work, and I'm great at going, can we change this? Can we get that? But I don't do much but cause problems, I think, and more work. So I appreciate all your hard work on that project.
It is a rewarding process when you finally get to see the final product.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. So in your going on 3 years, what would you say you've seen some of the biggest challenge? I mean, and like you said, you've entered at a very crazy time. Me too, right? I think commercial real estate's had more ups and downs in the last couple of years than maybe is normal if you looked at a just average 10-year period. But what would you say has been some of the biggest challenges you've seen generally in the market and in Central PA specifically?
I mean, I think Laura would vouch for this first one, and we have a lot of people that are ready to buy and expand their portfolio or broaden the horizons on their business, but it's just hard to find an asset for them. So the inventory has gotten definitely better since I've joined the industry, I think, personally, but it's still difficult, right? You got a lot of people that want to purchase real estate or find that next leasing opportunity for their business to grow and expand, but their pickings are still kind of slim, and there's really no time to kind of dilly-dally. Deals are happening fairly quick, and if you want to, if it's an asset that your heart is set on, strike while the iron's hot. Do your homework as fast as possible. Make sure that it financially makes sense for you, and if it's something you really want to do, definitely try to jump right in for it. On the research side of things, I would say one of the harder things I have to deal with, and again, so do the agents, right? I think sometimes you have clients with, I'll say, unrealistic expectations. Perhaps that's because they perhaps overbought for whatever reason, or purchased at a very high price to get an asset. Or you'll see a lot of people that just kind of bank on the whole, well, real estate will always grow. It'll always make me money, but that's not the case if you don't take care of the asset, right? You get out what you put in. So I think you have a lot of people that are out there trying to sometimes charge Class A rent on a Class C asset. And if you're not putting in the sweat equity and managing the property as best as you can, your net operating income is going to take a significant blow. But whenever it comes time to perhaps rid yourself of that asset, or maybe you're getting ready to retire and you want to reduce your portfolio or whatever, you might not get the return you were expecting because you just simply didn't take care of, time shall tell, right? Time ages us all. And if you don't take care of it, it's not going to take care of you.
Yeah.
So I think that's I think we've had some moments where we'll throw a number out there at a client and they were expecting more. And I think once you finally sit down and talk to them and show them the numbers and show them transactions and the neighbors or the neighboring properties or what's going on in the market, then they might have a come to reality moment. But sometimes it can be definitely a hard blow for those individuals.
Yeah. I think we're an interesting business too, because I'm going to say every week, if not every day, there's some story of some experience, something happened, something went as we expected or didn't go as we expected, or it's just
I would say even when like certain properties, sell multiple times within a 5-10 year period, almost every time when they go to resell, the transaction's not the same. Perhaps the different business went in there and remodeled it, and now that's a value add or sometimes a value decline, or previous landlord had Class A tenants, and once they left, all the tenants left, and then Class C tenants came in and destroyed the place. And you really, I'd say no two transactions are the same, even if it is the same property.
Yeah.
I think that's definitely a key thing that I've learned.
I feel like things have gotten better too. Like maybe last year, I would say that so many deals were getting kicked down. The can was getting kicked down, another extend, or they were just falling apart. And I feel like this year it's been a lot more consistent where stuff's closing, stuff's happening.
I agree. I think 2025 for our office and probably other brokerages in the area has been a year where we're seeing a little bit of more stability, where it's clean cut deals where it's offer, due diligence, and let's get to the settlement table. And if things need to be addressed, they're usually fairly minor, nothing super major, maybe an extension here and there. But for the most part, I would say, 2024, you were fighting tooth and nail to get a deal across the board or across the table. And definitely 2025, I think we've seen a lot more smooth transactions take place. And it's just been easier on our consumer and easier on our brokerage. Yeah.
Easier on us.
Why do you think that is?
I don't necessarily know. I mean, perhaps it's people that are seeking lending maybe are getting a little bit of a break on their interest rates, and perhaps there's a little less financial vetting going on. But also, I mean, we see a lot of cash strong individuals come out and just make clean cut cash offers.
So maybe just a little bit of consumer confidence.
Yeah, I know I'd mentioned earlier where if your heart is set on an asset, you really don't have a lot of time to dilly-dally. And I think a lot of people, perhaps, 2023 and 2024, that was an eye-opener to them. Maybe they were taking too much time and they lost some deals. So now they're like, hey, if an asset's available and it's something I like, I'm going to go for it and then figure it out after the keys are in my hand.
Yeah. And I guess maybe election year, people are nervous too. Could be.
Yeah.
As I just sit here and kind of reflect on it, but
yeah. And I mean, there's a lot of historical data out there that, like, regardless of who wins or loses an election years are always people are sitting and just watching.
Yeah.
And then quarter one after that new official's in office, they're still kind of sitting there watching. What are they going to do? What's their new policies? So I mean, it's not even this party, that party topic. It's just an election year usually has people on the edge of their seat pondering what is the American economy going to look like over the next span of the 4 years if whoever individual wins.
And we've had a fair amount of land deals recently, and they do take forever.
Yeah.
I mean, to get the approvals can take 4 years.
Yeah, where I mean, you're looking at a couple of years process usually. I mean, it's well over a year almost every time, unless it's just the person wants the land and they'll figure it out after, right? But your due diligence period, your zoning complications, your what you can and cannot do, getting engineers and architects out there to get plans approved and whatnot. Yeah, I mean, board meetings are usually only once a month. So if you miss one, you got to wait another 30 days or 60, 90, however many days until you finally get in front of the municipality, city to get your plans proposed. So the land deals are very time consuming.
Even if it is zoned properly. And I've always said, and I still feel this way, one of the biggest issues for us is what's the zoning? Like, what's your use? Because there's times we think something should happen in a property and township disagrees, and you're not going to change their mind.
I mean, even when, we as real estate individuals, like there's only so much, like there is a limitation as to where our issues stop, and then it becomes more of a, you're having trouble with the municipality, right? The zoning might say you can do something at a certain property, right? It's permitted by right. But then whenever you try to go do it, it's like, okay, well, these things need to be in place and this needs to be in place, and you need to have this regulation, and you know, the fence can only be so tall, and this dumpster has to be on a concrete pad in the back corner of the property, not in the front of the property. So I would say if you see a permitted use, of course, that means, yes, I can do that there. It's permitted by right, but there's always going to be another page or some other regulations that you need to adhere to. And I get it, right? Municipalities have these regulations in place to protect their area and to protect the development and the people of their community. But yeah, it's definitely complications along the way with those situations.
Yeah. What have been some of your more favorite parts of being in the commercial real estate industry?
I personally just love really watching the economic, like just following the national economic scene and how that trickles down to South Central PA and the Capital District and whatnot. I think there's legislation and I know tax breaks and there's always stuff being passed or proposed or situations unfolding that we might not feel the impact right away, but it's heading our way. So I definitely enjoy just watching the national like economic scene, how it affects our local area. I love watching it's been very, I know it's been taxing on the American consumer, but watching the interest rates and how it's affected inventory and people's buying capabilities, definitely more on the residential side than the commercial, but just seeing now that as the rates are slowly getting cut, more people are coming out and saying, okay, well, maybe I can look at commercial real estate as an asset to my overall financial portfolio. And just kind of watching how the CD market and being like, okay, like this is what a good predictor of what these banks are going to then go back out and lend that money to the consumer too. And yeah, I'd say definitely just the number side of things is truly what entertains me. And just looking at properties and being like, okay, what can we do? Or what do we think this is worth, right? And then just having that sit down meeting with the agent and be like, okay, what do you think? Because you have a veteran experience that I don't, and here's what the numbers and the economic data is suggesting. So trying to find that, taking both sides of the fight or the match or whatever, and finding common ground, being like, okay, we think we should list at this price. I do enjoy going after listings, definitely.
You're an analyst at heart.
Right? Yeah, I think so.
Just getting into all the details.
Yeah,
I love it. Well, I would love to hear your input on our last two questions here. Both looking for your input and advice. So the first one is, for someone coming into the industry new, whether they're looking at being an agent or looking at doing a research role or some combination of both or one track into the other, what advice would you give them as they get kind of kicked off in their career? I would say I wish I would have got my license a little faster. I think I just was taking my time, but I think I was taking my time for the right reason. And I would say if you're freshly licensed and want to get into commercial real estate, definitely try to find a research role and just listen and learn for the first 6 to 12 months of your career, because that's going to really lay down a good foundation for you to then go out and start to network yourself. Because if you just go out there trying to, chase the deal, I think that you're going to, everybody goes to not the hard play on the auto industry, but, you go to a car dealership and the first thing people are walking up to you, how can I help you today? But you really, if you have the research knowledge and you have the more analytical approach to real estate, I think it's going to set you apart from those other rookie agents. Because at the end of the day, a lot of new agents to the industry are fighting to get that first deal or that first listing or just get the recognition, right? So I think if you go in with a nice set of cards in your hand of knowing, hey, I'm new to the industry, I saw you have an asset, here's some economic data that suggests that your property is worth X, Y, and Z, not just saying, hey,
I'll do anything in the world just to win your business. So yeah, definitely listen and learn as much as you can in the first 6 to 8 months. And try to just take a lot of advice from your brokerage, right? Listen to your more seasoned agents in the office, and they've done deal after deal after deal. So they're definitely going to have experiences that you haven't had yet. So just trying to learn off of them and feed off of them and try to establish kind of like a mentorship, so to speak, and use your brokerage to your advantage, right? If you're a rookie on the block at a networking event and nobody knows who you are, well, they might know your brokerage and they might know your broker of record. And most of the time, a lot of the brokerages in our area do have good reputations for multiple asset classes, whatever. So they might not be able to associate with you right away, but they're going to be able to associate with your brokerage. And I think that speaks volumes. So I'd say be very selective find a brokerage that you morally and ethically are like, okay, I want to work for this brokerage, not because, they close deal after deal after deal and they're going to fill my pockets full of cash, but because these are people that I can get behind, and this is a business model that I want to portray out into the public. I think a lot of rookie agents are going out there and just trying to shake hands and just make their presence known, but it's really hard. That's really difficult to do right now. And I'm not saying you don't have to do it. You do. You have to throw yourself out there. But if they know your brokerage and then they know they're associated with that, if you do get the opportunity to win their business, they know that 9 out of 10 times, you're going to be going back to that broker with all the questions as the deal's transpiring. So not only do they they'll have a more novice agent, but they have a seasoned brokerage behind that novice agent that's going to help the client.
So who you work for matters, right?
I'd say who you work for matters, but also how you portray yourself, right? Do that, get that research tool added to your toolbox and learn as much as you can so that whenever you do finally get the opportunity to sit down with a client, you're sounding extremely educated, professional, clean cut, and ready to serve them as best as you can. Yeah,
I know that we know some other offices that take that exact approach, right? Someone wants to come in and be an agent, and they make them be a research person first, just because of the base it gives them. I think you've said, Laura, that's something that you've seen be a huge benefit.
I think so. Too. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I mean, I think personally, I definitely, when I first came in working for one agent or one broker rather, I definitely learned so much in those 5 to 6 months, so that whenever I transitioned to a complete office role, I had the opportunity to really just dive right into it and with confidence, knowing that, okay, I can do this. Right now I'm doing it for multiple agents, not just one broker. I can do this, and I can provide the background support necessary for multiple agents to make sure that these deals are getting done and that we're providing as accurate of information as we possibly can to our clients, not just trying to knock on their door and say, we love this property of yours, let us sell it for you, and just go chasing a commission check.
Yeah. And we're not throwing a dart. We have a little more precision.
We try to.
Yeah, we do. So our final question, Devin, we ask every single person, so you probably anticipated a little bit, but it's if you could go back and start your career over again, right? But keep all the knowledge and experiences that you've had so far. Is there anything you'd do differently, and why?
Is there anything I would do differently? I would love to establish just a better background in commercial lending. I think that although commercial real estate tends to produce a lot of cash-strong buyers or individuals that are going in with larger offers, so the financing that they're seeking is a little different, or perhaps they're doing owner financing, which is really, sure, we watch it take place, but that's really a lot of legal. That's where you're starting to get real estate lawyers involved to try to draft contracts that protect all parties. I would say try to just understand consumer lending more and try to understand really what goes in. I wish I would have definitely dove in more into the cash flow of a property, because I know SBA is a huge lending opportunity right now. So there's a lot of financial vetting that goes into that, where I wish if I had the opportunity to go back and maybe have more knowledge in lending, I could maybe help our client in the right direction as they go to seek the financial lending that they need. Oh, well, this bank's really good at this, or this credit union is really good at lending this, or here's if you're going SBA, I suggest you go speak with these individuals. And I know Laura has a network of bankers and financing professionals, but I think if you have a good understanding of that, you can actually then, as long as your client's providing you accurate financial information about a property or their own personal finances, you can just point them in the right direction a lot faster, rather than try to play the game of matching financing to client.
Yeah.
And really draw it out for them. Put an expectation in place. But hey, FYI, these are what most rates are producing. This is what rate you're most likely going to get based off of your financial credibility. So I would expect a mortgage of X, and this is the individual we should put you in front of, because we hear it all the time in the office, time kills deals. And that due diligence period where a client is going out seeking financing, I think if you can just it's one of those pick a door scenarios. And if you already know what's behind each door, you can say, hey, go that way, or go this way, or go this way. Or you can look at your client and say, I really love your ambition. I love your tenacity to want to invest in real estate right now, but you're just not quite there yet.
Yeah.
So let's, continue to establish your personal and business wealth, et cetera, and continue to grow and grow and grow. And when you think you have X amount of money to put down, or when you think you have X amount of equity in something, then we can talk about going after that next asset or that first asset or whatever. I think that is something that, looking at it now, I wish I definitely was like, okay, I wish I knew more about the commercial lending world. And I'm slowly learning it, but I definitely wish that was maybe something I focused a little more on when I first entered the industry.
It's a piece of the advisor role, right? Really being able to give your client a full.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I think in real estate, you walk alongside of your client all the way up to the settlement table.
Yep.
So just trying to be prepared for the obstacles or the punches that are going to get thrown at them, because they are going to ripple down to you as the agent, the advisor, the broker. So you're just trying to be prepared for all of it and watch you both cross the finish line together.
Yeah. Hopefully.
That's right.
Awesome. Well, Devin, thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Today. It was great to have you.
It's great to be on. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. That's it for today's conversation with Devin from SVN Latus. I hope you felt as inspired listening as we did talking with him. You'll find all the links to connect with him and with us at SVN Latus in the show notes. Thanks for hanging out with us on Beyond the Deal. Until next time, keep going, keep growing, and keep building your story.